My name's Kevin O'Toole, and I'm here to welcome a very distinguished panel on a very quick, very cold event. I want to know which of our Port Authority employees picked the location and picked the day.
It would be your staff.
Yeah, my staff. So we're proud to have everybody here. This is amazing to see the Deputy Secretary, Admiral, Chief of Staff / DOT Commissioner, obviously Rick Cotton, our Executive Director, and our Director of Ports, Beth Ann Rooney. Really important. You know, the Port Authority has invested literally billions in this area here, billions of dollars. Look over here, invested $1.7 billion to raise the Bayonne. We invested $2 billion to dredge to 50 feet, going to do that some more. We have over the last few years become the place for imports, exports. We are not only the leader of the East Coast, but also becoming the #1 port in the country. We service 130 million people, 28 million here, 100 million throughout the Midwest, Canada, New Hampshire, Massachusetts. We found out just how valuable the ports were during COVID. The port was the standout department in the entire array of Port Authority departments. We hit to, I think, 124% of our mark from 2019. Valuable materials, medical, food, supplies came through. And it's because our forefathers of the Port Authority have done this planning going back 20 and 30 years. What you're seeing today is a grant from the federal government, which you'll hear about, which is going to allow for all the goods that come here to get transported out with all the roadway and ramp improvements. So we want to thank the Deputy Secretary, we want to thank the President, we want to thank our partners, State of New Jersey, New York, coming together. So let me introduce our Director of Ports, one of our superstars, Beth Ann Rooney. Beth?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and welcome everybody to the balmy Port Newark. Definitely one of our better days here. You know, Chairman talked about really the value of the Port of New York and New Jersey, but the roadway infrastructure that we're talking about here, that we're rebuilding, was built 65, 70, 75 years ago for the U.S. Navy. Times have changed quite a bit since then. Trucks are larger. Trucks are much more much larger quantity of trucks. And we have infrastructure that, because of the activity that's been built up in the port, hasn't been able to be redeveloped over the time. So this project is super important. The main entrance to the Port Newark Elizabeth Port Authority Marine Terminal Complex on the north side of the port is being rebuilt in its entirety. Replacement of ramps, moving of roadways, elevating of roadways, inclusion of lighting and traffic signals that is going to provide efficiency, is going to provide resiliency, and is going to improve safety for the truck drivers, the tens of thousands of truck drivers that use our facilities every single day, and the other 20, 30,000 people who work in and out of our port facilities. So this is a really exciting project for us. It's been done in full cooperation with all of our port tenants and stakeholders, many of whom are here today, with the local communities, with the support of the city of Newark. And we've been working closely with local DEI businesses, diversity, equity, inclusion, women-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses, working on internships and apprenticeships for skilled labor that is working with Conti, our main contractor for this project. So again, very excited to be kicking off this project, and it is my pleasure to welcome and introduce New Jersey DOT Commissioner Diane Gutierrez Scacchetti, also the the Governor's Chief of Staff. I warned him that I was going to screw that up.
That's okay. Don't you worry about a thing. Never worry, because I answer to so many things, I can promise you that. But thank you for allowing me a few moments to speak. On behalf of Governor Murphy and his administration, there are no better days than the days when we're able to break ground on transportation projects that support the economic vitality of the state of New Jersey. My job is to always offer great thanks. So first, thanks to U.S. DOT Deputy Secretary Polly Trottenberg for $44 million in infra grant money. When we get those grants, it just provides a relief so we can take other Port Authority money and direct it elsewhere, or advance projects that may not have been advanced quite as quickly. These projects that we do around the port are critical for so many reasons. Economic vitality is one, but jobs are another. And we want to thank the men and women of labor, the longshoremen, our friends at Conti, all of our union workforce that will be out here making sure that this job gets built on time and on budget and is a benefit to those who live in the communities around us. Look around you. The bridge behind you is scheduled to be replaced. Why is it scheduled to be replaced? Because the truck traffic has increased so significantly that we need to provide a structure that supports that traffic on a daily basis. I understand the concerns around the environmental issues, but I also understand they have to be balanced against the importance of our economy. And Governor Murphy is committed to both. He doesn't take one over the other, but he asks us as staff to make sure that we make it work. I'd want to make sure that everyone understands that that turnpike was built for trucks. It is a utilitarian road. You don't see, the parkways are a beautiful traveling road for vacation. That is meant to move commerce, and it moves commerce every day. And so working with the Port Authority, creating a better road infrastructure, taking trucks off of local road systems is in the best interest of everyone. And this is a project that's going to make that happen. So thank you to all who've been involved, the Chair of the Port Authority, Rick, your team for designing this project, getting it up and running. We look forward to the day when it's finished and traffic is moving more efficiently through the port for everyone who needs to be here. So thanks again, and I am going to guess who's next. Kevin? The Admiral will speak next. Thank you. How's that?
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for being here this afternoon. We were joking earlier that originally we were going to do this in the summer, and for a number of reasons, some extremely serious, we've delayed till today. But we're thrilled to be here. Thank you so much for the opportunity and for the welcome. Chairman O'Toole, thank you. Commissioner Scacchetti, ma'am, Executive Director Cotton, and of course, in DOT, our own Deputy Secretary, Polly Trottenberg, ma'am, thank you for all that you do to support the department and all of its work. I'd also like to take a moment as we get started to thank Port Director, Ms. Beth Ann Rooney. For 3 decades, Beth Ann has been a fierce advocate not only for the port, but also an advocate for mariners and port employees, and in particular, a tremendous supporter of the Maritime Administration. Beth Ann, thank you personally from us at MARAD. We thank you for your participation in the Marine Transportation System National Advisory Committee, MISNAC, which, by the way, we needed to fill a position quickly. I called Beth Ann and said, will you do this? She said yes right away, of course, for which we are eternally grateful. That might turn out to be challenging sometimes, but man, we are grateful for that. Thank you. Also, thank you for your participation in our Maritime Day 2023 Workforce and Culture panel. Again, your insight, your commentary, your thoughtfulness proved invaluable, and we're very grateful for everything that you do and all the leadership you bring to influence the marine transportation system broadly. Turning to this project at hand, proud to say that it meets so many objectives of the Department of Transportation and the Maritime Administration, particularly its focus on safety and efficiency. You've already heard multiple speakers talk about the challenges of moving trucks, moving goods through this facility right now. This grant will help resolve that, alleviating traffic, reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and just making things safer to be able to do the mission of this port here. On top of all that, it will benefit not only this region, but, as has also been mentioned, supply movement across the nation because of the critical intermodal connectivity that moves goods from here all the way west of the Mississippi and beyond. This $44 million grant is truly an investment in America that benefits communities across the nation. While we're here today to celebrate this infra grant, I would be remiss as the Maritime Administrator by not mentioning a recent Port Authority award, a $32 million to reconstruct berth PN 308 through MARAD's Port Infrastructure Development Program. This will also work in concert with this particular grant that we're doing today, focusing on today, to help improve the movement of goods and to share and build capacity here at this port. Let me add one final perspective. This project is an excellent representation of what can be achieved when ports have the vision and the opportunity through the President's bipartisan infrastructure law to build capacity to meet our nation's freight transportation needs. That's what this project will do: address aging infrastructure, provide environmental benefits, and ultimately enhance the connections of American communities, large and small. Again, congratulations, Port Director Rooney, Ma'am, thank you so much to you and your team for this fantastic work. We look forward to working with you on this grant and so many others in the future for the Port of New Jersey. Thank you. Mr. Cotton is taking it. Thank you.
Good morning. This is a very important day for the Port Authority, for the port, and I also and for our relationship, frankly, with the federal government. And I want to focus my comments this morning quickly on the broad partnership that the Port Authority has enjoyed with the Biden administration in rebuilding our outdated legacy infrastructures. Here at Port Newark and across the region, the support of our federal partners is helping the Port Authority implement the most aggressive portfolio of infrastructure redevelopment in the agency's history. We are working hard to be the poster child for the renaissance in American infrastructure that the Biden administration is leading, and we seek to play this role in every one of the multiple infrastructure facilities across our portfolio. We are enormously benefited in our infrastructure efforts by the vigorous support we receive from our two governors, Governor Phil Murphy of New Jersey and Governor Kathy Hochul of New York, and we're grateful. Chief of Staff Gutierrez Gaschetti, how is that? Here at the Seaport today, a federal grant is providing the foundational support for the Port Street Corridor project that we celebrate today. Thank you, Madam Deputy Secretary, and thank you, Administrator Phillips. This project builds on the raising of the Bayonne Bridge road deck and critical dredging hugely supported by federal dollars. All these investments have allowed the Seaport to maintain its global competitiveness, keep goods flowing during the pandemic without the congestion experienced elsewhere, and allowing the Port of New York and New Jersey to move into position as the second busiest in the nation. At the airports, an unprecedented $30 billion transformation is underway, and we are a loyal local partner that can actually get projects done on time and on budget. We have demonstrated that in the total rebuild of a new world-class Terminal A at Newark Liberty, at totally new world-class facilities at LaGuardia, and a full redo of JFK Airport is underway. In Midtown Manhattan, the Midtown Bus Terminal is a prime example of legacy infrastructure long past its useful life. Working with the Biden administration, we want to take this eyesore and transform it into a best-in-class bus terminal for the future. We are also proud to be a partner in the Gateway Hudson Tunnel project, supporting the Gateway Development Commission and the federal government in delivering this critical asset to the region. Gateway would not be moving ahead if it were not for the support of President Biden, the U.S. Department of Transportation, Senator Chuck Schumer, obviously working in partnership with Governors Murphy and Hochul. So let me close by saying thank you again to President Biden, to Secretary Buttigieg, to Deputy Secretary Polly Trottenberg for their partnership and support. It is because of their steadfast commitment to rebuilding our nation's infrastructure that we are able to sustain a true transformational agenda in New York and New Jersey. And with that, I would like to turn the microphone over to one of the architects and key implementers of the federal effort with respect to renewing infrastructure, Deputy Administrator Polly Trottenberg.
Rick, thank you so much for those incredibly kind words and for all your leadership and partnership. And you're right, the Port Authority has a fantastic track record of project delivery, and we really appreciate that. I'm honored to be here on behalf of the Biden administration and Secretary Buttigieg, and obviously I want to thank Governor Murphy and his able Chief of Staff / DOT Commissioner, we'll just call her Diane, for her leadership. We work together on so many projects, and of course I want to thank Port Authority Chairman Kevin O'Toole, Ports Director Beth Ann Rooney, and all of you out there, the men and women who work in this port, who work for the Port Authority, who are going to get this job done. Thank you for the work you're going to do. I get to close this event, this incredible groundbreaking. And Diane, you're right. There's nothing I like more than a groundbreaking when we see shovels in the ground and we see people getting to work. And we've been reflecting in Washington on the fact that it was about 2 years ago that the president signed the Infrastructure bill into law. Something that in Washington we'd been talking about for decades and hadn't gotten done. And something, by the way, that we're very proud that we did on a bipartisan basis. Not always easy to do in American politics right now, but something truly transformational. And by the way, I want to thank the leaders here in New Jersey and across the river in New York for all their help and support in getting that done. 2 years into that work, we have accomplished a lot. I mean, we are repairing thousands of roads and bridges all over the country. We're helping communities invest in transit systems, buy electric buses and ferries. We're building out a national EV charging system. We're transforming passenger rail, working closely with many of our partners here along the Northeast Corridor. We're working to electrify ports and strengthen our supply chains. We are making investments all over the country, and as you heard from Admiral Phillips, and thank her for her leadership, while we're doing it, we're also creating a new generation of job and contracting opportunities, and particularly with a focus on communities that have not always received federal benefits. And for the Biden administration, we're achieving our key policy goals: mobility, job creation and economic growth, safety, equity, and sustainability. It's great to be here at this port, and Rick, you mentioned the incredible role that the ports in the supply chain played during COVID. And we certainly learned in the Biden administration, when we were experiencing the throes of COVID, that our supply chain really was brittle, faced a lot of demands, and that the public and private sector needed to work together more closely. And I'm happy to say, in the past couple of years, our administration has really rolled up our sleeves. We convened all the parts of the federal government. We've worked with port owners, with shippers, with key labor and industrial partners, and we've worked to make our supply chain stronger. And part of that is particularly making long-term investments. And by the way, this is one, by my math, the Biden administration so far has invested around $2 billion in port infrastructure. So we're working with our partners, but we're also investing those dollars. This week, actually, our Secretary Buttigieg joined the president at a newly created Council on Supply Chain Resilience, and announcing nearly 30 other actions to continue to strengthen our supply chains, lower costs for families, and help Americans get the goods that they need, always something we think about in terms of this holiday season. The project we're celebrating here today, and you heard its benefits from Beth and Admiral Phillips, they're going to help us get there, obviously focusing on roadway safety and efficiency, improving air quality and congestion around the surrounding communities, and my math, reducing over 700,000 hours of travel times for truckers just in the first year of the project. The project will also generate 260 jobs, good-paying union jobs that will stay local. So we are thrilled to be part of this celebration, honored that we can contribute to this work. We know, Rick, you and the Port Authority and the incredible workers you have will deliver, and thank you so much for being here today. Look forward to turning some dirt.
Where's the 1, 2, 3.